Hi guys. Okay, so this is a quick story time about how we almost moved to Kenya earlier this year. For those that don't know, my husband is Kenyan and we have a daughter who is 2 years old, who's obviously half Kenyan. I spent some time in Kenya in 2018, 2019, probably about like 9 months in total, something like that. I think I've been like 6 or 7 times. Anyway, so obviously Ray grew up there, you know, for 19, 20 years. I really loved my time in Kenya. Absolutely love it. So earlier this year we were actually it started last year, we were sat in the garden and we were kind of weighing up the pros and cons of moving to Kenya. And there were a lot more pros than cons. It's only that the cons were really big drawbacks, things like being away from my family and, you know, just things like the NHS and free healthcare, things like that. Anyway, so in January I saw a job come up for a teaching role of Spanish in a private school in Kenya, an international school. Now, these schools pay good money, but as well as that, they more often than not provide you with accommodation, so you get your own house for your family to live in. They give you a car. There are loads of perks. You live in like a gated community, and you know it's a nice lifestyle. So we really thought about this and I'm like, you know, I'm just going to apply, let's go for it. I got invited for an interview, so I went down to London for an interview. It went really well. They invited me back for a second interview, and then we got in touch with an immigration solicitor who we spoke to before, just to see how this would work in terms of Ray's visa. So because Ray isn't yet a British citizen and he doesn't have indefinite leave to remain in the UK, for us to have gone to Kenya this year, it would have kind of messed things up. Basically, the UK government could turn around and say, well, if you're going back to Kenya, then why do you need to be in the UK? Why do you, all that, like, why do you need, you know, residency? And they can really be like that, even though we only intended to go probably for a couple of years maximum. You know, it probably wasn't going to be forever anyway, it was just going to be 1 or 2 years. But yeah, the British government can turn around and say, we're not having you back, and we just couldn't take that risk. So we decided that, okay, that can't happen right now, but maybe it's something that can happen in the future. We've been through visa problems before. Yeah, in 2018, 2019, when we were trying to come back to the UK. And if you don't know, yeah, the UK government make it really difficult, especially if you're African. It's just 10 times harder if you've got a passport from any country within Africa. So it would have been too risky to think that if we were going, we might not have been able to come back to the UK again. So unfortunately we had to leave it and pass up on that opportunity. But you never know, you just got to trust that the opportunity will come around again when it's the right time, and maybe one day we will live in Kenya.